you would actually suspect it was done by Dennis Itumbi and sent to Onyango to put on the letterhead of ODM.
Really?
Yes, you just look at it. It was, they contrived the issues that are non-existent. And it created a lot of debate, saying it is anti-Ruto, those who are against Ruto. How does Raila's health end up in Ruto's camp? So when I see some of these issues, one thing that I'm happy, when people verbalize their problems, that is the beginning of healing.
Oh, really?
Yes. The worst is to keep quiet and pretend nothing is wrong. You may think that age will take care of some of us, but you should also realize that in Malawi, Arthur Bita Mutharika,
Professor.
Professor of law, is 85 and is the president of Malawi. I've got so many years to get to 85.
Don't write off Kirwa yet.
Don't write me off. Anything can happen that Kalonzo Musyoka cannot change in terms of going to the other side. I think even for somebody to imagine that is the height of naivety.
Tired of the same old shopping experience? Step into a smarter way to shop with Whiteson Group, Kenya's go-to online store for quality you can trust. From gadgets and homeware to everyday essentials, we deliver convenience right to your door. Fast shopping, secure payments, and top-notch customer care, all in one place. Visit whitesongroup.com today. Whiteson Group, simple, reliable, delivered.
It is always a pleasure to have you on Richard Mwenja Exclusive. Welcome on board. I'm here yet again to unpack conversations that are shaping Kenya's political and governance landscape. You know, every week I also get to do the program with former Minister Kipruto Arap Kirwa. He represented Cherangani constituency for 20 years. Those are 4 terms back to back. That culminated in the 2007 general elections, but he continues to serve this nation in many capacities. Today he sits across this table as a renowned thought leader, as a senior citizen. Waziri, great to see you.
Well, it's my pleasure and welcome to my humble abode.
A beautiful home here and lots of trees and bamboo, and we are doing this show actually on Mazingira Day.
Wonderful.
And you are a true testament of people who believe in conservation. I can say that.
Yes, I do, because I know conservation enhances life and the quality of life. It is something that it's you know, nature and man, they are intertwined. It's only man who invades nature and it does not know how to conserve it and allow it to flourish to the betterment of mankind.
The other day, President Trump talked about those who are propagating matters to do with climate change. They should know climate change is just but a hoax. That was one of his remarks during the UNGA, the just concluded United Nations General Assembly. Back at home here, we are seeing our president try to champion for environmental conservation, climate change adaptation by the day. Do you think this is a true call that we've really adapted to in the best way possible?
Well, I just do pray that they will improve by ensuring that there is clear policy direction and how to implement the program in a way that each and every person gets a chance to be part and parcel of environmental conservation. What do I have in mind? I have in mind that when you plant trees now in various schools throughout the Republic, we should identify students to be mapped with those trees so that in a school, let's say of 2,000 or 10,000 students, and they have a compound that can accommodate the trees, they create a corner, and in that corner, every child has a tree after him, such that it is also pegged with his name, such that if I was to go back to any of my schools, whether it's primary, secondary, or even college, I can say this is a tree I planted 30 years ago. And somebody would be proud of doing that. The other issue is that we should also improve in terms of tree population by ensuring that we allow farmers to set aside certain corners of their farm and plant trees that are recommended by the foresters or the conservators for purposes of ensuring that we just don't plant any tree. We plant trees that are friendly to that particular environment. and somebody is paid a token. Let's assume if somebody has 1,000 acres and he dedicates a corner of 100 acres and he does it as a forest, that should be quantified and to get what we call replacement or opportunity cost. That if he was planting maize in that parcel, how much would he be gaining? Then you don't have to pay him the full price, because also the trees are his. And it is making his farm more beautiful, or our farm.
All right.
These are some of the things that I feel we must put it in serious policy framework, so that we just don't do what I call knee-jerk reaction.
Pronouncements.
Pronouncements. and also planting, planting trees at this time in some areas is out of season.
15 billion trees.
Yes, it's out of season. Why? There may be rain in some of the areas for the next 2 months, but in some areas this is now the end of the rain season. So it may be dry all the way up to March. So any tree you plant now, unless there is somebody watering it, will go to waste. So you may say I planted 15 billion trees, but how many of them have survived? That is a question we should be asking ourselves.
Good question, that one. And now, aside environmental matters, Waziri, let's cross over and have a conversation around what's happening in Kenya's political landscape. And of course, the big question now revolves around the sudden U-turn from the optics of Gideon Moi, KANU leader. And we've seen Gideon Moi bow out of the senatorial race in the upcoming by-elections in Baringo. And this just came right after his State House visit. Of course, many are questioning the motive behind this sudden U-turn from Gideon Moi. But let's look at it from two sides. To what do you owe this sort of U-turn from Gideon Moi? And secondly, how much of a catch is this to President William Ruto? I mean, Gideon Moi bowing out of this race at this time.
Well, there are a number of challenges that one can recall. One of which is that I would have expected Gideon to run and perhaps have an agreement between his party and the Kenya Kwanza team that I'm running, but I'm not outside the ambit of Kenya Kwanza. Because Gideon Moi is not perhaps running for the presidency in the next 2 years. And that would have worked better than what is happening now, because it's like Ruto is interested in decimating the presence of alternative leadership in the Kalenjin. And Gideon Moi was emerging as one of the alternatives. Because after 2032, should William Ruto win the next election, how does he want the landscape to be? He wants to define us beyond even his presidency. He may think that age will take care of some of us, but he should also realize that in Malawi, Arthur Peter Mutharika,
Professor.
Professor of law, is 85 and is the president of Malawi. I've got so many years to get to 85.
Don't write off Kirwa yet.
Don't write me off. Anything can happen. That one day you may find me at the house on the hill, but I will not re-roof it like him. I will just use the State House for purposes of serving this country. So it is important. But for Gideon, perhaps he knows why he decided last minute to let down the people of Baringo. I would have expected the least he could have done is to run and promise Ruto that we are going to work together even when I'm senator. Because KANU still got a number of members of parliament. It's one of the parliamentary parties. And therefore, if you abandon the ship, I don't think it is going to be well for Gideon politically. Yeah.
Do you somewhat have the impression that maybe for KANU leader Gideon Moi, he might have been suffering identity crisis, and the easiest way for him to get that identity was maybe at least to associate with the powers that be? So his only alternative for now was William Ruto. Are you going to buy that school of thought?
Well, no, I will be very hesitant and also equally feeling, apart from being hesitant, but totally reluctant to accept such a thought. Gideon Moi may, apart from the fact that he's the son of the late President Daniel Arap Moi, has also his own gravitas. He's been the MP for Baringo Central. He's been the senator for Baringo. And losing an election is not the end of the game for any politician. Even Uhuru Kenyatta lost as an MP. And he lost his bid for the presidency the first time. But he was president for 2 terms. And even people like Lincoln lost at the level of the Senate, at the level of the state, state Senate, federal Senate, and when he went for president, he won. Of course, for his life to be cut short by a bullet. So losing an election, it defines a politician. Losing or winning defines. How do you take the loss? How do you take the win? At the end of the day, both of them are supposed to be part and parcel of democracy in our land. Yeah.
Waziri, seemingly we are witnessing whatever President Ruto wants, President Ruto gets, especially in the political arena. So far, we've seen a number of exodus of some firebrands within Kalenjin community to President Ruto's camp. Notably, we're talking about Buzeki, Zedekia Bundotich, now under UDA. We're talking about Gideon Moi now being in the good graces or in the same camp with President William Ruto. Some would argue the only man standing is Waziri Kipruto Arap Kirwa, who is highly honored in the Kalenjin community. But the question is, do you have a price for yourself? And are you really sure that you can authoritatively say that for you can never cross to the other side?
Well, I don't have any political value to the extent of that of Gideon Moi, because I don't have a party of my own. I'm part of a coalition of parties. And therefore, if the coalition that I'm in decides to cross over, I will do a debate with them whether I should be part of them or I should just still remain ordinary citizen that I am. So for me, I think it is better to quantify me. In the first place, am I of any political magnitude to threaten William Ruto as a president? And the answer is no.
Really?
Mine is just to analyze, criticize where I can, and present the facts to the people of Kenya and the rest of the world.
Isn't that false humility, though? Because some have considered you to be the biggest critic and the second in command when it comes to Kalenjin politics. And that's a fact, Waziri, if you go by the netizens' comments out there.
Well, I feel humbled by some of those compliments, but the truth of the matter is that I've refused to define myself in terms of political value. I would want others to say who I am. But in terms of when I look realistically, I don't constitute any threat to President Ruto. That's the way I look at it. The only threat is that I say the wrong things that he does. And possibly doesn't want to be told, you've gone wrong. Otherwise, I don't even want to pretend that I can contest anything with him. But he should also realize that there is what we call internal limit. Even if he won the next election, he will definitely not run the 2032 election. He will have to cede this space. And when the space is open, it is for Kenyans to decide who occupies that particular space. And I'm one of the Kenyans that will be able to define the future of this country, devoid of one-man show. We need to be creating teams of people so that if we have this coalition in government, it is not about an individual, it's about a set of people who share common vision and focus on a common destiny for this country.
What if those fellow leaders you're talking about are not willing enough to cooperate? Because so far we've seen the president defend himself and justify why he's been labeled a micromanager. He argues that when you're working with people who are unreluctant, who are reluctant to cooperate, unwilling to share the same vision, mission like you, then you're going to be forced to be a micromanager, and that's who he has become of late. Don't you think you too can suffer that fate?
Well, the team that I have so far is a team that believes that this country can work better if we allow institutions to operate without interference. We also believe that when we talk of separation of powers, it must be real, where judiciary is allowed to be independent. The executive, within its parameters, institutions such as constitutional offices must be allowed to operate without interference from the chief executive of the country. And therefore, legislature, in the same breath, must also be given a chance to deliberate and to do foresighting of other institutions of government.
Moving on swiftly, Waziri, we've seen a number of political suitors line up, and all of them want a hand in this political marriage with Kalonzo Musyoka. So far, he seems to be that politician with so much premium that everyone wants a share of. And I want to understand something. What do you think has made the Wiper leader be this go-to person that everyone wants Kalonzo to switch his allegiance to their favor?
Well, there are a number of factors. Well, the propaganda they had given him was watermelon.
True.
But seems some of the individuals who are calling him watermelon, they have done the green and red at the same time. And number two, his longevity and consistency on the political space has allowed him to be understood by Kenyans in a way that people realize that it is not the question of being indecisive. It's a question of being careful so that you don't unravel the feathers of other people without serious consideration. And in that case, and he's also willing to play ball. Remember, twice he was running mate to Raila, and the third time, he was just considered that he will get a senior position in government, but he still rallied his supporters behind Raila Odinga when Raila Odinga had running mate in the name of Mother Karua. So that is somebody that if there was a price for loyalty, you can say that is somebody who believes in a cause. But of course in Kenya, virtue is a vice, and vice is a virtue, depending on who is defining. Yeah.
To be honest, Waziri, we're looking at President Ruto being this aggressive leader. And for Kalonzo Musyoka, he espouses the person of a political gentleman. But in the times that we are in as a country, politically speaking, do you think being a political diplomat is good enough for you to triumph over President Ruto in 2027?
You see, you must define a number of things. One is to define the leadership model that you want to espouse. Two, you must also be clear on the kind of policy direction that if it is about the healthcare, what is the alternative policy direction that you would want to inform the public and run with it for the period that will be in power. And finally, and the most important, is you must be willing to realize that your own capacity cannot run the country. You must allow professionals to run the sectors they understand best because they have been trained to do that. The only thing that you need to provide is leadership. And the easiest thing about leadership is the flexibility to allow people to think freely and the latitude of freedom to allow them make mistakes and correct their own mistakes and learn from them. That is leadership. These are the things that you see on the political landscape today. That's micromanagement, which is not even normal management. You see, even management also as a measure of delegation with responsibility.
Delegation with responsibility.
Yeah, ultimately, you are responsible for any mess that is done under your watch. But you must delegate to people who are involved at that particular level. Otherwise, you cannot pretend that you know everything. Even if you are trained in agronomy, for example, you cannot say you know even the latest findings that are coming from research. You must allow researchers to give you information, then integrate that information and make decisions according to the situation that is obtaining at that particular time. Yeah.
Well said, Waziri. Now, we're still talking about attempts to court, to court people who can work to the favor of your interest.
Yeah.
And DP Kithure Kindiki has not been shy to say that he's not ready to give up on Kalonzo Musyoka. And if anything, in the fullness of time, he'll make sure Kalonzo crosses over and joins President Ruto's camp. On the other hand, we've seen President's AD, Faruk Kibet, argue that for Kalonzo to redeem his image, he needs to disassociate with himself with the other principals whom he claims are blemished lambs. So, two things here, Waziri. Do you think this consistent courting that Kindiki is trying to advance might work at some point? And secondly, for AD, Faruk Kibet, do you think he has the range to lecture Kalonzo when it comes to matters image?
Let's start with Faruk. That's what I call political bad manners.
Why do you say so?
You cannot pretend that you can lecture to Kalonzo issues of leadership. This is a person who has been minister in various ministries. He's been our vice president. And now is one of the principals in the formation of an alternative view. And this therefore means there are many things he knows. We were ministers together. But he was elevated later on to level of vice president. And an office you've not occupied, don't pretend that you know. Even when I was assistant minister, I did not know the office of the minister. what it entails, how you need to coordinate the public service, technical staff, and also your assistant ministers. It is when I became minister that I had now to realize that I have a responsibility to make sure my assistant ministers don't feel orphaned. They must feel part and parcel of the leadership of the ministry. So I cannot say, I don't know the office of the vice president or deputy president for that matter. For Kindiki, I think it is good message. When he goes to Kalonzo's backyard, he wants to get good reception. You know, he's a gentleman in the wrong company. So that may be the reason why he's saying that. But he knows very well that Kalonzo Musyoka cannot change in terms of going to the other side. I think even for somebody to imagine that is the height of naivety, because I do not expect that to happen.
You don't expect that to happen?
I don't expect that to happen.
So then it raises one question. We're going to question how strong is this binding glue among principles within the united opposition. We're living at a time whereby we are seeing some claim others are not willing partners in this coalition. We've talked about Gachagua versus Matiang'i, Natembeya versus Eugene Wamalwa. And by now, this should be a united front whereby there are almost zero cracks. Aren't you afraid that if this treating each other with contempt and at arm's length is going to continue, then there could be 11th-hour cracks?
Well, political dynamics are very interesting. For those possibly who are around in the year 2001, all the way up to 2002, will know the journey that we traveled. Even to allow the late Wamalwa, the late Kibaki, and the Honorable Charity Ngilu to sit together. There were even some caricature that what are two men doing with a woman in one room, because they were sitting in Serena having tea. There was that kind of satire that people were trying to spew. And subsequently took a lot of effort for people who believed in that particular cause. At that time, I was still a Kano member of parliament. But I joined the cause, and we traveled the distance together up to where we were able to put up a team on the 18th of September 2002, where Kibaki was pronounced the presidential candidate, Wamalwa, vice president, and Ngilu, prime minister designate, should we win the government. Then subsequent to that, our brothers, the late Saitoti, the Honorable Raila, the Honorable Mudavadi, and was the other one? And the Honorable Kalonzo, they were still in Kano until they went to Kasarani, and there was that disagreement. Then we came together, and we now formed the National Rainbow Coalition, which got 66% of all the votes. So when I see some of these issues, one thing that I'm happy, when people verbalize their problems, that is the beginning of healing.
Oh, really?
Yes. The worst is to keep quiet and pretend nothing is wrong.
First admit the crisis.
Admit there is a problem. Once you identify the problem, then work on it. As I've told you all the time, there are two sources of conflict.
Tell me.
One is conflict about resources. If somebody stays on the other side of this river, we'll be competing for this water. And therefore, that is a source of conflict. It is a resource. And you can resolve the way Mzee Kenyatta resolved with the Emperor Haile Selassie, that the boundary of Kenya moved into Ethiopia 6 kilometers.
In?
Yes, 6 kilometers. So that the river that separates Ethiopia and Kenya becomes the boundary, such that livestock farmers from the other side, they come to the river, water the animals, and they go back. Kenyans go to the river, water the animals, and come back. So that you don't cross into Ethiopia to get water, and you create conflict. So that is one way of one source of conflict.
Sure.
The other source is belief. And when you listen, you realize this is about belief, and this is about resources. We are not competing about resources. It's about each person has his own perspective. And you know, perspective can be elevated into a belief. I believe that you wronged me. That becomes a belief. And you believe that I also wronged you.
Sure.
And once they verbalize that, it is easy to resolve. That is fodder for us. When I hear people talking against each other and they are saying, what is the problem? I enjoy because I know we are now about to resolve.
Because now Matiang'i's allies are claiming that the problem with Rigathi Gachagua, a co-principal in the United Opposition, is that his style of politics is too aggressive. He believes he has to make the final say, he has to be the alpha and omega in every decision, and even on the campaign trails. Is that something that also Gachagua maybe should sit back, embrace that maybe there's a problem here, and adjust accordingly?
Let us hear them more. Let us hear them more. The more we hear them, the more we know how to resolve the problem. I don't see any there's no problem at all. Yes, there are areas of conflict, and once the conflict is resolved, it ceases to be a problem. But if we don't resolve it, then it becomes a problem. And we are still looking for each other. Remember, these are people who are on two different sides of the formation. Some were in Azimio, some were in Kenya Kwanza, and others in between. And therefore, we are looking for each other and seeking understanding from each side of the equation. So I'm not worried. Actually, I'm one confident Kenyan that I know will get to the next ballot with one united opposition that you will soon get the name. In fact, the name will be unveiled soon. Yeah, trust.
Maybe before Christmas?
Perhaps even earlier.
Perhaps even earlier.
Yeah.
But then again, you've always been the biggest proponent of zoning when it comes to the upcoming by-elections. But we've seen a conflict maybe in the making. When it comes to Western Kenya, you hear of DAP fielding a candidate somewhere, but at the same time, DSTP is fielding a candidate in that particular constituency. When it comes to the best approach for these by-elections, Waziri Kirwa, do you think you've navigated through the right radar so far?
Well, this is a first test for us, and we will learn from the mistakes that we make in the upcoming by-elections. And not all is lost because the principles are in talking terms. They may not seem outside there, but what I know is that they have regular meetings and they eye on some of these issues. And those that may require some kind of technical support, they will be referred to the right professionals to deal with it and see how best to approach the next election.
Waziri, you've gone on this particular program and boldly spoke about President Ruto's one term being one that is already ordained in heaven and here on earth. And you say that indeed, if he's to fail, it's on account of his promises. But remember, we're talking about a political figure who is big on narratives. Granted, President Ruto is a master of narratives. But then again, when it comes to the united opposition, seemingly it's only Rigathi Gachagua who's been able to curate some narratives that have hit the ground with the third. Are you now going to implore your fellow co-principals to maybe adapt to that part so that the narrative can be big enough to hit the ground with the thunder to match that of President Ruto? Because it can coil another one.
You know, the most interesting thing is that when you're talking of a team, that's why there are people in football who are said to be center forward. They are the wingers, and they are the defense, and those guys who are supposed to be to score. And of course, there is a goalkeeper. All these I see in my team, that people are gifted differently. There are those of us who try to be diplomatic in the way we say things, and there's those of us who understand what quickly resonates with the people. And secondly, you know, if there's somebody who can authoritatively tell us about William Ruto, because he's the latest person to have a meeting with him, is the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. For me, we parted ways before election.
True.
They parted ways, I think, 2 years after elections. So he's the most recent person to tell us more about what happens at State House. Remember this common saying that when alligator tells you the other animal in the sea is sick, believe him, because he's the only one who has come from there.
And they are cousins.
Yeah, and they are cousins.
Talking of which, Waziri Kirwa, we're talking about Kenyans going to crystallize their will at the ballot box in 2027. And sort of to realize that the government has waived the ID fees. Actually scrapped it off. It was at 1,000 bob. Now you access your ID at a free cost. That's what we want to believe following the government pronouncement on the matter. But then again, If we were to circle back, it is this administration that brought the issue about even charges for the ID, especially at that level of 1,000 shillings for every Kenyan citizen. So when the president now gives this reprieve, is he out here to manufacture crisis, then come back and play like the Messiah? Are these Messiah games going to work in the first place?
Well, that's why I usually say any government decision must be based on a clear policy direction, so that it is just not knee-jerk reaction that really breeds dictatorship. Because you see, why do we have policies? Why do we have laws? Why do we have the constitution? It is because we must be predictable in the way we make decisions. We must be predictable even to investors, that this is a country that will not be changing from VAT at 16, then they take it to 17, they take it to 15, such that when you do your calculations, you know, if I invest in Kenya, I'll be able to recoup my investment in 7 years or in 10 years. That's how business is supposed to be done. Yeah,
I get it, Waziri.
yeah.
So then again, we're talking about this Gen Z now being urged to come here and enroll themselves as voters. But so far, maybe the numbers are not as we had envisioned or probably wished them to be. But of course, they have 2 years to do that. So then again, Waziri, the question has always been, will my vote count at the end of the day? Rigathi Gachagua the other day says there's need for us to devolve the presidential tally, bring it at the constituency level, because what happens in Bomas of Kenya is monkey business from his lenses. Do you think that the question should be the integrity of the transmission, because that's what the constitution interprets or believes in, or the question should be about now the devolution of the presidential tally?
You know, we have 290 constituencies, and in those 290 constituencies, all the votes cast in favor of individuals running for presidency are counted and announced. That should be the last session. Bomas of Kenya you should not have a difference between what was said in Cherangani and what is pronounced in Bomas of Kenya. Some of these, I can say, are just monkey tricks. We must insist that the announcement at the constituency center, where the information is collated, counted, and announced, that should be the last point of call. So that you just need to have a table in constituency number 1. How many did so and so get? How many did so that that table is just enough. And the person who has won in the majority of constituencies with majority of votes should be pronounced the president-elect. Of course, if he gets 50% of all the votes cast and 1 extra vote. Yeah,
I get it. Moving on swiftly with the conversation about the politics of today. Earlier this week, we saw sort of a tug of war between ODM party and Wiper party and DCP, where ODM was accusing Wiper party principal Kalonzo Musyoka and also DCP principal Rigathi Gachagua of not harboring really goodwill towards Raila's, health and also presence and future in politics. And Kalonzo dismissed this as an act of desperation, saying that you people want to profile us as those who don't wish Raila well, especially on his personal issues like health. Do you think that was a law to come from ODM making that statement, accusing DCP and Kalonzo and Wiper for harboring ill will against Raila Odinga?
When you read that statement, ostensibly written by Dennis Onyango, you would actually suspect it was done by Dennis Itumbi and sent to Onyango to put on the letterhead of ODM.
Really?
Yes, you just look at it. It was, they contrived the issues that are non-existent. And it created a lot of debate, saying it is anti-Ruto, those who are against Ruto. How does Raila's health end up in Ruto's camp? You know, I found it, it is only that you've asked that I'm willing to engage. Raila is our friend. Perhaps I know Raila more than many other people know him. And I would wish him to live longer, whether he's in the opposition, in government, or wherever. So it's not for us. Kalonzo worked with Raila for 15 years running mate, then supporting him, to wish him ill health. I think that was the height of naivety again. If it is Dennis Onyango, it's unfortunate. It doesn't reflect the intellect of Dennis Onyango, the one I know. Of course, Itumbi can do something like that because basically he's a blogger. The rest of it, I don't know what else he does outside that. And it is very cheap propaganda, to say the least. It's very cheap because my health, your health, is important to all of us. And I don't think we have reached that stage where we don't wish somebody well so that we get opportunity to get into politics. Otherwise, next time you would say, if somebody was to fall sick, that so and so has bewitched. And when we get to the level of witchcraft, that is very primitive politics.
Underwhelming, you say?
Yeah, underwhelming. Because you see, at the end of the day, perhaps we value Raila more than William does.
Really?
Yeah. You know, William is a transactional leader. As long as you have a transaction with him, it's okay. When he has no need for you, he does not even remember your middle name.
Thank you for bringing in the conversation about our president being more into transactions. And underway is the transaction that maybe will materialize in the privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Company. Of course, the government is willing to give up 65% stake. And they have justified this, that they need to have room for growth, efficiency, and innovation within Kenya Pipeline Company. But some would sit back and argue that we are playing with our national, strategic assets. And for a country that's really, serious about its security, there are national strategic assets that you cannot just privatize. Do you hold the same view, Waziri?
Well, I would expect a number of things to be done. One is, as I always insist, what is the policy framework? There is a privatization law that I'm sure Parliament enacted. And if it has not enacted, then that is now a lapse in terms of issues of governance and transparency. Number two, when we privatized Safaricom, government ceded some shares, but those shares were categorized. There were strategic investors who were invited. They owned a certain proportion. They were also IPO. We invited the public to participate. You as an individual, you may have 1 million shillings. I may have 200,000. You buy shares commensurate with the amount of money you've been able to raise. Because I agree privatization may be the way to go. But how are you privatizing? Are you bringing somebody, you are saying, a foreign investor, only to realize that you went to that country, registered your company, and that foreign investor is just your partner, so that you own 65% of a national asset instead of allowing. You see, the advantage with Kenyans owning is that they are individuals like the way we are here, and they do not cause a lot of harm because they will still go with the wave, and the government will still give direction about that privatization. But the way I see it, and I've said, I don't trust William on three things. On statistics, even the statistics he gives us are not accurate, and you know it. I don't trust him in so far as transparency is concerned, because he will do that only to realize that he is the main investor in the company.
Even when leasing out our sugar mills?
Leasing out.
Could be an investor in the making?
It could be, there could be somebody behind him, or he could be behind somebody. Then the third thing that I don't trust him on is the promises he makes. He makes promises without taking time to reflect. What does it mean for somebody at that level to make false promises? So those are the things. And from now henceforth, Kenyans should not trust any statistics churned out by State House or even government entities.
Better trust statistics from Gachagua?
Well, he's an individual and is responsible for his utterances. But somebody in the office of the president to lie to the public, e-Citizen, 11 billion shillings went. Who owns e-Citizen? They say it's a private entity.
Sure.
And we know there is somebody in government who owns about 60% of each citizen. So for any transaction you just enter, somebody gets money.
Despite signing into law the conflict of interest bill of 2023?
They can sign, but don't trust anything William signs. Yeah.
Finally, Waziri,
Yeah.
our education sector, especially when it comes to higher learning, seems to be at a limbo, at a crisis. We're witnessing nationwide strike from lecturers and other staff workers of our public universities. Some of them have even turned into dance and songs just so to calm down their worries, or at least to have a distant shift from the problems they are facing as lecturers. The issue in contention here is the 7.9 billion Kenya shillings payout that they're supposed to be given, and also the fresh negotiations for a new CBA running 2025-2029. In the face of the government, do you think it's feasible for them to raise this figure of 7.9 billion, settle the issues of the lecturers, and also enter into this agreement that they're going to secure the future for these teachers of our students in our universities?
Well, it is an imperative they must accept. You cannot just allow institutions of learning to disintegrate into what we are seeing today. We are doing that at the backdrop of 3.6 billion going to non-existent schools as capitation. If we were to get that 3.6, we'll have reduced from 7.9 to perhaps 4.2. And that will be a measure that can assist the lecturers to go back to class as we look for more resources. If we are able to bring the 691 million that has gone to 31 non-existent institutions as hospitals, that money will reduce that to almost 3 billion. If we are able to bring the 11 billion that went through e-citizen and we don't know where it is, there will be surplus in the coffers of the government. And therefore, there is a possibility that we can solve those problems if we are able to stop the filters that are sipping away resources from the kitty. Yeah.
But so far, do you cry for public universities? We are at a time whereby we also see mismanagement issues. Even our premier universities, some of which are now being led by, now I could say foreigners, like the University of Nairobi, the chancellor out there. Do you think there's a whole crisis within our higher education that goes beyond just the capitation itself?
Well, it's a question of governance. And governance is a broad issue. Starts with good management. It starts with prudent and frugal expenditure of resources. It also deals with issues of the discipline within the said institution, and outright theft is avoided. Those are governance issues. And also political interference. You know, the government in the past has been making political statements without considering what is the cost implication of such a decision. So we need to be processing. That's why I always insist on policy. Policy allows you to temper with information and bring out something which is mature, so that you just don't make a statement only to realize there is a resource gap that you are not able to fill. And therefore that decision that you have taken through cabinet is not accepted just because there's no money.
All right, there you have it. But because, of course, before we cross over to Heroes Corner segment, your parting shot this week to our Kenyan leaders and also to the citizens who maybe are looking forward to hear what does Mzee have in store for us today.
Well, the first thing I think we should not be worried. This country will not tip over because the next election is a defining moment for Kenyans. And I would urge all Kenyans, those who have not registered, to register. Don't wait up to the last minute, and there may be a bit of confusion towards the end. And once you have registered, stay cool. Wait for the next election. You'll be able to elect your MCA, your member of parliament, your governor, and your president. And there you are. That is the job that you ought to do. Don't be worried about opposition. We are united, and we are clear that our agenda is not about ourselves. Our agenda is about how can we make this country run better.
And that agenda starts with the one-term spirit.
Well, one term is a reality. William Ruto has defined himself. Even if opposition was to be split into two, William Ruto will be number 3. We will be totally out of contention.
Maybe Raila will be number one?
Raila will not even appear in the ballot.
Really,
He may
Waziri?
choose to support Ruto or come to our side. Yeah.
Well, let's now cross over to Heroes Corner segment with Waziri Kipchumba Rapkira. Leo Waziri, kwa program yetu, who is our shujaa?
Our shujaa collectively are the ladies and gentlemen who went to Tokyo, sportsmen and women of Kenya, who did so well that William Ruto pretended that he was crying, only that we realized he was sneezing.
Come on.
And he had to hide that.
The president just said he came to an emotional moment. He's only human, Waziri Kirwa.
Does it come through the nose? Emotional moments.
Why are you questioning his tears to be akin to that of a coffin maker in a funeral?
You know, when you sneeze, at times you cry. Don't make that crying look like you are so emotional about it. If you are emotional, why don't you give us policy direction? We should not be just giving them 3 million and you don't have a clear policy. When they retire, are they going to use that money? If you gave me now 20 million without a serious investment plan, by the end of next year, that money will not be there. And yet, I pretend to be more organized. How can you give a girl of 22 years money without a clear investment plan? In Ethiopia, they give money and they give a clear investment plan to the athletes so that when they retire, I've said before, Gabriel Haile has 2 buildings in Addis Ababa, middle of town. He has one at a place called Entoto, a small hotel, and he has another hotel in a place called Awasa, akin to Naivasha. Why? Any money that he won, he was given almost 3 times the amount he won and invested in those facilities I've just told you. What we need to do is to improve not only harvesting the talent, but once the talent has been harvested, we manage it to the end so that our young men and women, they're able to be respected beyond the moment of glory. Yeah.
It goes beyond giving them an affordable housing unit.
Affordable housing unit, a house without food, what will I be eating? I will sell the house and I go back to Kitale. Yeah.
But those girls and boys from Tokyo are your shujas today.
They are my heroes. With Faith Kipyegon, the smiling assassin,
Beatrice
Chebet.
You're not mentioning Wanyonyi from your home
Wanyonyi.
area, though?
Yeah, Wanyonyi is from my home area, but he was nurtured by Jeb Koskei.
True story?
Yeah, Janet Jeb Koskei. I got this information from somebody the other day, and I'm happy about that. I want to congratulate Janet.
Was Wanyonyi a child from the elite families?
No, he's an ordinary fellow. Yeah, who was looking after livestock. Then Janet identified this as a good athlete. And you could see Wanyonyi was a hero in our international forum.
So these are the people who should be nominated for the Civilian National Honours kama Shujaa Day, not Fred Kapondi, Didmas Barasa, or William Kamket, you argue?
These are the heroes of Kenya. National flag has been hoisted because of them. National anthem has been played because of them.
But why are they missing in the list for the Mashujaa Day celebrations? I haven't seen quite a number of them.
Well, I'm sure possibly next year they will have captured them. Now that we have said. Yeah, you know, William Ruto watches your program.
He does?
He does. One of these days he might call you.
Just like Gideon Moi.
Yeah.
And then you disown me instantly.
I will disown you, but who will be running the program?
Glenn will step in.
Glenn, my grandson.
Glenn Kirwa.
Oh, that boy is good. Okay.
All right, there you have it. That has been our conversation today, discussing a plethora of issues in the world of politics and governance. Pardon me, I've been slightly under the weather, but I believe we've done the program justice. Waziri, pray for me, and I pray for you so that next time we come here good of health and in the best frame possible.
Wonderful.
All right, asante sana. Masaa sasa ya kunywa chai, kuna chai kidogo ya vijana?
Chai hata chicken kidogo, alafu mnaenda kwingine.
All right, thank you so much for hosting us.
Asante.
It's always a pleasure and a privilege to do this with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for always tuning into our programs. I've been hosting Waziri Kipchumba Rapkira. Is always here every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Today we are doing it on a weekend, But hey, there's so much you can tap into from his nuggets of wisdom. We'll do this again next week. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. I'm Richard Mwenja. God bless.